Well, good morning, everybody. It's good to see you today. We're happy to be here at the Homesteaders of America Conference. And we are Dawson Gap Farm. We produce Dawson Gap Naturals, non-GMO livestock feed. It's also tested free from chemical pesticides and herbicides. We are giving away a free bag of feed today if you'd like to fill out a contact card for us. And we have free samples as well. On our farm, among our other animals, we also have Nigerian dwarf goats. And these Nigerian dwarf goats serve a great homesteading purpose for our family. We have a household of 9. And so we've started with Nigerian dwarf goats, and we use their milk. They provide the milk for our whole family while in season, while we have them in milk, and we'll talk more about that. So Nigerian dwarf goats are a great goat for a homestead setting because of their size. First of all, you can have a number of them in the same area as you would have larger goats. They work great with children because they're less goat to deal with. Goats can sometimes be a little bit unruly and have a mind of their own, so it's nice to have a little bit smaller goat. And then also Nigerians have a wonderful butterfat content to their milk. It's really creamy. If you've had goat milk at a grocery store, it's nothing like this. This actually tastes good.
How many have had goat milk? How many? Did you like it? No.
No, we didn't eat it. I don't like other goat milk. I like this goat milk though.
Right. We got goats and I didn't know. Are we gonna even like this milk? We tried, bought some, tried some, like, no way, I don't even like this milk. What are we gonna do? But everyone told us, oh, Nigerian milk's different. It really is. And I have people come to my farm. I give samples at my farm. And people are very surprised, and many people say it tastes like raw Jersey milk. So if you have, cow shares or that, we think it's even better. It can even be a little sweeter and a little bit creamier than the raw Jersey milk. So we love it.
So I should have introduced myself. My name is Todd Morrison. This is my wife, Melissa. This is our daughter, Eva. We have 6 children. And Eva's here with us today. A couple of our younger ones here floating around that you'll see. And our kids do all of the daily chores for our animals. They're very responsible. It's a great part of being out in the country. They've learned that responsibility of taking care of animals every day. And they really enjoy running out the door to have fun and do that. So Eva is going to be milking for us today. This is Corey. One of our first goats that we ever got. She's actually 8 years old. So she is fully grown and full mature size. As you can see, they don't get very large. So Eva's going to get us started with milking, and of course we use our Dawson Gap Naturals feed to keep the goat interested while the milk stands a little bit occupied and stuff. And so Eva, what do we do first when we go out to start milking the goats?
So first we have this teat spray that we make up with essential oils and water. And so it's really kind of handy when we're doing this kind of thing to have around. We normally use a wash water, which is just warm water with a little soap and a little bit of vinegar. So that's what we normally use on a daily basis. We like it a little bit better, but this is really handy for coming to shows and things like this. So what you do with this is you just spray it on the udder, and then you take a handy washcloth and you just wipe the udder off.
So sometimes with milking, depending on your goat, how well trained she is, they might kick, they might be a little bit fidgety, especially the younger ones. They're not used to what's going on. And so sometimes a brother or sister will come along and hold a leg, and then this gives a little bit more access to the udder, or you could also tie it up, or sometimes you can hobble the legs together. Those are different methods of doing it. Corey is pretty good at this. She's been doing it for a while, so she should cooperate for us. So tell us what you're going to do next, Eva.
So we have this little dish here we call a strip cup. So we use this strip cup to milk the first couple squirts of milk out of the udder. And why we do this is because the first couple strips in the udder normally have the most bacteria in it, like if any dirt got in it or anything. And we can also check in the milk to make sure that there's no clumps or any blood or anything. And just make sure it's nice and smooth and milky to make sure that the goats don't have anything like mastitis.
So once the coast is clear, she's going to proceed to start milking. So we have a simple stainless steel pail here that we use. Stainless steel is really well because you can clean that. We try not to have any lips or edges on the stainless steel. It's just, we bring them inside afterwards, we clean them, we sanitize them in the dishwasher.
Yep, and so then you clear your milk.
Show the motion you're using.
What?
Show the motion you're using.
Alright, so I don't know if you hold the leg. Oh yeah. So she's gonna hold the leg so they usually. So first I take my first and my thumb and I pinch the udder in to close the milk off. And then I use my other fingers and I just put them down and that squeezes the milk out. Just like that. So when if you're milking and you first start, it takes a little bit to kind of get the motion. I've been doing it for a while and I sort of have it down how to do it.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm 13.
But she's been milking for 4 or 5 years.
It was like the second year that we milked.
Right.
My brother would let me milk half of a goat.
So her oldest brother is the one who got us into Nigerian dwarf goats. And he kind of got to be a little bit older. We asked what he was interested in. He's like, I want to milk goats. And we're like, really? Okay, I guess we're milking goats. And so we got started on our journey with milking goats that way. We are involved with 4-H. It's a great way for the kids to be involved on the farm. Once we get the milk in the pail.
So this is a really easy backyard way to handle the milk. You can use one of those coffee filters. You can even use paper towels, so you don't have, it's not a huge investment. We use the mason jars and we strain it. Because sometimes hair and something might fall in there, so we strain it. And then we're milking 7 or 8 does, and so at our farm we use these totes, and I have a bigger stainless steel funnel that I can put the milk in, and because there's like a lot of foam, it takes a little while for it all to filter out. And that's kind of when you get to a larger scale, you can kind of move up and do that. But this works really well. So she's been in milk since March, so this is really late in her lactation, they call it. And there's all kinds of factors for, you know, how much milk are they going to give. I usually tell people it's going to be 1 to 2 quarts depending on how many times a day you're milking them and how long they've been in milk. So around 8 weeks they hit their peak, and in their peak they'll produce 2 quarts a day. So she would fill this jar in the morning and then fill it again in the afternoon if I didn't have any kids on her. Most people in a homestead backyard situation really don't want to milk twice a day, and so usually they'll just be milking once a day. So pretty much you can get a quart or 3 to 4 cups once a day for quite a long time. They kind of adjust through the season. If you really want to push it and really get as much milk out of them as possible, you can get up to the 2 quarts a day for, you know, maybe about a month, and then they kind of taper off. What else?
How do you know when
You won't really, I mean, you could always get a little bit of milk out, kind of like a bottle of toothpaste, but there will be a point where you won't really be able to get anything else, yeah.
it's important to empty them?
Yeah, if you just milk half of them and you're doing that once a day, they might start to dry off, which means they'll slowly not stop giving milk.
So we usually dry off our goats about November, sometimes December, and we like to let them just, you know, have a little bit more strength through the winter, and then have a break also before they start kidding again in the spring and get started again. And so you don't have to hand milk. There are milking machines out there. It is an investment. It might cost $1,000 or something. So usually you have to have a number of them we have plenty of hands around, so it works well for us to hand milk. And so once we get the milk in the jar, we bring it into the house. We put it in the freezer for an hour just to kind of flash chill it really quickly. And then after that, it goes into the refrigerator and we're ready to drink it. And that's what we do, is we drink it. We usually don't have enough time to make cheese out of it. We have done that. We've also made ice cream out of it. Goat milk naturally is homogenized already as it comes out of the goat. Must be all the jumping around they do, but it needs a couple days for the cream to separate, so that time is necessary if you want to separate the cream to do something with it that way. So we usually just drink it right away because we've got lots of mouths, but we've done that before and it is really good and flavorful. We know other people making very nice cheeses out of the goat milk from Nigerians. We always recommend people, if you're going to get into goats, to make the investment into a good goat. It can vary quite a bit depending on breeding, milk lines. You could go through all the work, but then get little reward, and that's never too much fun. So if you're going to do it, we say try to find a good breeder that can demonstrate some good milking lines, that there's a history of that, so usually they need to be registered. Sometimes shows will demonstrate that, or there's linear appraisals, or just other ways to demonstrate that they really do have a good milking genetics inside of them, and your work is going to pay off for you the best that it can.
It is an investment of time, so if you purchase kids, then it's not recommended to breed kids till they're at least a year old. That's typically, they're born in the spring, so that's the following spring, but a lot of times people are like, I don't want to have kids going into winter. So typically they're bred at about 18 months old. I like that time frame also because they're a little bigger. Sometimes you have to watch that you don't overfeed them after a year. They will put on fat very quickly, and you don't want them to get fat, and they won't get bred as well. So if they get bred at 18 months, it's 5 more months before they have kids. Most people are going to dam raise in the backyard situation. They believe it's healthier for the mom and the babies. And so then it's still going to be, 4 weeks maybe before then you're real milking. Typically 2 to 4 weeks. We separate kids from mom at night, and then we milk mom in the morning, and typically our goats can produce enough milk to still feed the baby the rest of the day. And around that 3 to 4 weeks, the kids start nibbling, so it usually works out pretty well that way. You can pull the kids right away, that has been a standard practice, and bottle feed the kids and milk mom. To me, especially in a backyard situation, like, why are you gonna do all that work? But there are people that do it, or 2 weeks. Some people will also bottle feed kids milk and then teach them on a bottle so that they can have that experience. It's kind of fun. It just depends, but goats are very flexible. You can milk them once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day. We have no breeders who are showing at nationals. They milk them 3 times a day to, really get those udders producing. If you milk them that much, and you have to feed them well. But anyway, there's lots of possibilities, lots of options. Questions? Yes. The goats that we keep, we typically let them be with our doe herd, so they don't necessarily get weaned until, like right now, some of my kids were like, we have to wean them. We have very nice moms and they don't wean them, so we're gonna have to do that. They're like 6 months old now. But typically, yeah, some moms will. Others are so nice they would just still be sucking at a year old, so you have to intervene. But the goats that I sell usually leave my farm between 8 and 10 weeks. So they can be weaned as early as 6. Every goat's a little different, so I try to gauge what I think these goats are, when is a good time for them to leave. Usually, 8 to 10, even to 12 weeks sometimes, depending on how they've grown, how big they are, how well they're doing. There are breeders that sell them bottle fed, 2 weeks old. That's a different, situation. People ask me, oh, but they told me bottle fed kids are, friendlier. Well, my goat kids have 6 other goat kids, children goat kids, that play with them every day. And so we've never had an issue with our goats not being friendly. It's really more of a management, how they're managed. So the dam race kids have done well. I personally like them better. We've bought a few bottle babies. Bottle babies think you're mom from the time they get to your farm until they're 8 years old. You know, you're the mom. So I prefer that they think they're a goat and that I'm just a nice person. But I mean, it's fun to bottle feed, and some moms, it's funny, you know, they have instincts. If they're not making enough milk, they might reject some babies, like they just naturally know that. So sometimes we do bottle feed because it's necessary or we need to supplement. It's not a never situation for me. I just prefer if the moms take care of them.
So, oh yes, sir.
How long does it take for milking per goat? Like time-wise, 10 minutes?
It takes, yeah, about 10 minutes. I mean, if you're just starting, it might take a little bit longer.
Her older brother yesterday was saying 5 minutes.
Uh-oh.
There's a little competition.
I know, that's
going
what
on
I'm
there.
thinking.
When you first start, it takes a little bit. Like I've never milked. I've let my kids, they wanted to do it, so they milk. And even though I'm the goat lady, I don't actually milk the goats. When I try to milk, I can't go as fast as them. Like my muscles haven't learned. So there is a learning curve. And then if you have several goats you're milking, your hands get tired. So there's also muscles that build up in your hands and calluses. So it just, you know, you can get up to where it's 10 minutes a goat max, I would say, but 5 to 10. Yeah, if you're an 18-year-old who's like, how fast can I do this, right?
Yes, sir.
Age regarding production.
Age regarding production. The peak production for age is 3 years, or I mean, for
Yeah.
showing, that's what we consider.
So in terms of over 3 lactation, so 3 times being bred and being in milk, their udders develop. So when they hit about 3, they're like at the maximum development of that udder. So in terms of production over a lifetime, so my 8-year-olds now are definitely not holding their lactation as long as when they were 4 and 6. You know, my 4 and 6-year-olds are like pumping out the milk. So I think there is like a decrease as they get older, but they can still be productive. I've heard even at 10 of them being bred. So I haven't had a 10-year-old kid yet. So we'll see.
As you can tell, Melissa has a lot of experience talking about goats. We do have a goat workshop at our farm coming up next weekend. If you're local, you're welcome to come to that and talk to us about it. And we go through total goat care and management and getting started with goats. If you don't have them yet and want to know what you're getting into, it's a great way to do that. Or if you're just getting started, to get some tips and tricks of the trade, so to speak. So you're welcome to come over and ask us more questions, and thank you to Corey the goat.